I'd like to call the meeting to order. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. You know, I was on vacation and I was really thinking about, well, one of the things you do on vacation is you reflect on your life, and I was really thinking about the time that all my fellow commissioners spend really for no pay. And I just wanted to thank all of you for the work you do. It's an awful lot of time that these commissioners put in, and I think there are some people in the world that believe we make money doing this. I want to let you know we absolutely do not. It often costs us money, but we do it because we care very much. I just wanted to thank all of my fellow commissioners. And that's the last nice thing I'll say until I go on vacation again about everyone. Barbara, would you please call the roll?
We have Commissioner Sales, Holloman, Moss, Noonan, and Parfrey present.
We have a full complement. As you know, this matter will be broadcast on Channel 35, and please watch it. Our first item is the election of officers.
Mr. Sales, it would be a great honor for me to re-nominate you to serve as president and Mr. Holloman to serve as vice president.
Is there a second?
Absolutely.
Any discussion?
The only objections could come from one of us.
Can we object?
No.
Thank you for that vote of confidence. Appreciate it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I also want to thank you for your vote of confidence. This is a real honor. We have tried to make the organization more transparent. I think we've done that. I think, as I said earlier, these commissioners put in an awful lot of time, and they make being president really a true honor, and I do appreciate it. I know Eric feels the same way.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Report from the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. There's three items I have here to cover today. One is I want to make sure that Board of Commissioners and the public are aware that we have, as part of our ongoing effort associated with our evaluation and updating and adjustment of both power and water rates, we have placed online, and this is at ladwp.com/rates. You'll find a rate calculator that any customer who wants to know what will be the impact of these adjustments on their bill, they can go in. We've established a link that will put your account number in, and will allow you to determine what are my my bill today, and what would that bill look like under the new rate structure. So it gives every individual customer an ability to understand very, very personally what this effect is, and it's something that we have been seeking to do for some time. Very pleased with the staff in getting that pulled together. In addition, I believe the board may have heard some issues that has been in the media in the last few weeks with respect to issues that we have ongoing in Owens Valley related to dust mitigation, and some orders that have come from the Great Basin Unified Air Pollution Control District. And there's been a fair amount of, I believe, frankly, some misinformation associated with that. So in order to provide a better understanding and context for some of the actions that the department has taken, there is a video available on that that's available if you go onto www.youtube.com/LADWP. You'll find about a 7 or so minute video that provides, I think, a good context and background over the circumstances of what we've done over the years, the concerns that we have with respect to some of the orders that we've received, and more importantly, a win-win for the environment that we believe that we can undertake if it's properly performed up there in a manner that I think will work out, and hopefully we'll find a way to see through that path that achieves that win-win. So I think it's a good use of everyone's time to have an interest in this topic to look at that. And then one third item, I'd like to have both a recognition and an introduction today for you. I think it's hard to believe it's been well over 2 years now that we had a temporary interim assignment by Anselmo Collins as Director of Supply Chain Services for us. And Anselmo, I think, was probably given the notion that it might be a few months, and he has served a great service working with us on our supply chain services efforts. and have been promising to him for many months that we would be able to return him back to his rightful position back in the water system. And we've made good on that promise. We are, and Anselmo would really like to thank the efforts that you have done on that, and he's going to continue on an overlap with our new Director of Supply Chain Services, who I'd like to introduce you here today, Gwendolyn Williams. Gwen has joined us, and very pleased to have Gwen here. Gwen has over 20 years of management experience, both in the government and in private sector, a significant portion of that being in contract management, construction management related services, and in procurement, government procurement, both with construction organizations as well as with her own firm for a number of years. And she spent some 9 years, my recollection, with Metropolitan Transportation Authority, where she worked in a number of positions successfully as manager of contracts. She worked in directed their small and disadvantaged business program. There as also both deputy director and then ultimately executive officer of procurement for MTA. So she brings to us some really great experience, and Anselmo has agreed to make his effort a little bit longer. So there will be a 30-day overlap period where Anselmo will be working with Gwen to try to provide this to be as seamless of a transition as possible. So I'm pleased to have Gwen here and look forward to continuing on with the types of efforts we're trying to make in our supply chain services, recognizing what a major focus that is at the department. Thank you.
Does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report.
I'd just like to build on what Mr. Nichols said. I really want to thank Mr. Collins for putting up with probably sometimes harsh questioning from me. We really do appreciate the work you've done. I think you've made an admirable contribution to the department, and we look forward to working with you for many, many more years in another capacity. Also to Ms. Williams, who I've known for a long, long time. I was a lawyer and she was a contracts person at TRW, and she taught me what little I know about contracts. She taught me, so we are really looking forward to working with her. I think she will add significant value to the department. Questions and comments on operations? Commissioner Barbary?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Today, the Union of Concerned Scientists issued a report called the Clean Energy Race, How Do California's Public Utilities Measure Up? And in looking at the section on Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, this body of scientists lauded the department for reaching 20% renewables in 2010. However, they offered a caution, and they cautioned that many of our contracts are of 5-year duration or less, and to reach the 33% goal by 2020, they're recommending longer-term contracts. And I know Randy Howard of this department participated and helped the Union of Concerned Scientists put together this report. But based on some of the recommendations, I'm asking you, Mr. Nichols, if the department could have a formal response to the report, and it needn't be voluminous. It could be very short, but it would be helpful to give them feedback. I'd appreciate that.
Commissioner Holland?
Not at this time, thank you.
Mr. Noonan? Mr. Moss?
Yeah. In the minutes that we're going to be looking at for approval today, I noticed that there was a request that was made from the board for a rent roll, so to speak, of all the fiber optic contracts, and the board has not yet been presented with that master rent roll with expiration dates, amounts of contracts, and the vendors that we're dealing with. So it's my understanding that rent roll should be distributed to the board in the next board packet. So I just wanted to let you know, remark that, make a mark on that for the record.
And it will be there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
On the issue of fiber optic leases, this is very important to the department, and I talked to at least one other commissioner, and I think what we're going to do is form a subcommittee to look into these matters. Commissioner Moss has been kind enough to agree to chair that subcommittee. I think it will make our meetings much more efficient, and I think ultimately improve the contractual product. So if he's willing to do that, we're going to move in that fashion. Are there questions or comments from other commissioners on that issue?
Good.
Thank you. Public comment, I believe we have one speaker card.
Yes, I do have one public speaker card. The speaker is Linda Romney.
Yes, I would like to address the problem as far as communication with the Department of Water and Power, specifically communication in writing. My communications going back to March were directed to the individual that I spoke with, Miss Adams, who apparently is in the customer contact center. Meanwhile, I also left messages on her direct line, never received any response either to my messages via telephone or my letters. Then just recently I found out that she never received any of my correspondence, that they were intercepted by Latice Williams. Now I have a personal problem with Latice Williams in that when I had a commissioner hearing and I had requested in writing some 40 letters to the general manager and to the assistant general manager, John Shen, for a bulletin site, et cetera, that has to do with underground water leaks, I never received any response whatsoever until the hearing, at which point Ms. Latice Williams then presented the document that pertains to that issue and then misrepresented, which pertained to me specifically. So as a result, the water was turned off to a senior disabled citizen for over a year. I lost trees, and I can't begin to tell you the hell I went through when you can't even flush a toilet, wash a dish, or any laundry. Okay, so in the interim now, I'm going back and forth, and I called and spoke with the two individuals that were assigned as of May 15th, if I have the date correct. I was told by Sylvia, secretary to Connie Roche, that she had been told to tell me that neither Connie nor Sharon Grove would meet with me or speak with me via the telephone without Latice Williams being present. And I take issue with this. So, as of this point, it's still a standstill. No communication, no answers to my correspondence. Something needs to be done because the ratepayers are dealt with total and complete contempt. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude public comment?
That concludes public comment, yes.
Let's move to item 6, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Let's go to the consent agenda. I'm going to pull the following items from the consent agenda. Items 13, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 35.
I also have these two quick questions on items 15 and 16. I'll be quick.
Okay. Let me do that one more time. We're going to pull from the consent agenda 13, 15, 16, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 35.
And, Mr. President, I would like to pull items 11 and 22, please.
So is there a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, those items are approved. Let's turn first to item 11. I think Commissioner Parfrey, I believe, had a question on that. Who's presenting the item for the department?
Mr. President, if I may be so bold, is there an opportunity for us to call an agenda item out of order? Is there a possibility of pulling item 36 and conducting that immediately?
Pull.
Not pulling, but.
Well, not pulling it, but bringing it to the head of the agenda.
Let's get through just the consent
Okay,
agenda,
very
and
good.
we'll take care of item
All right.
36. Yeah.
All right.
I'll try to
Enjoy
answer.
yourself over there.
Yeah, we want to keep her around as long as we can, actually. So item 11.
Yes. If I could draw the attention of the folks who worked on this item related to contracting, I noticed that there appears to be some significant clerical errors, and I would like to know whether the clerical errors were done by the bidders or by the internally at DWP by the folks in contracting services. And the reason I'm bringing this up because some of the clerical errors are associated with businesses that are located here in Los Angeles. And, you know, we do want to give our local companies every break we can. So if you look on the last bidding page, under Associated of Los Angeles, their unit prices for the luminary street lights leap from $1,500 each to over $11,000, and they're similarly, you know, disproportionate for both Associated and also for Omega Pacific Electrical Supply. And Omega is out of San Francisco and not local. So I just wanted to call those out for a second and see if the folks in contracting could explain why those numbers are so out of whack.
Can we get back to you on this item? Let me.
Indeed.
I'm going to pull the details on behind the spreadsheet, and we'll get you the answers.
And then one of the other bidders, Bulb Star, which is also local, they were talking about these mounting clamps, and there was 2/100ths of an inch off, and I want to know if, you know, typically things have a standard measurement, and I'm just wondering why something would be off by 2/100ths of an inch, and whether that indeed would be a major factor. And I was curious to hear about that. And the last piece associated with these luminaries, it's my understanding that there are products that are currently available that add to the efficiency of the high-pressure sodium lamps. And maybe this is for another day, but I would very much like to see us try to look into those products that add to their efficiency.
Okay.
Would you like to defer the item till they can get back to you, Commissioner?
Thank you. Can we pick this up later in the afternoon if possible?
Okay.
We'll get the detail, Mike.
Thank you.
You know, given the number of items we now have, I think I am going to move to item 36. That's a good suggestion, Commissioner Parfrey. We have a resolution for Lorraine Pasquette. One of the reasons I did this, her husband is a high-powered lawyer who bills by the hour. We certainly don't want to have him waste his time here, but we're obviously glad that he could join us. I'm not going to read the resolution, but I do want to say that I have known Ms. Pasquette a long time. I've known her probably starting with the energy crisis here in the state when she was working with PG&E and I was with Sempra. She's an extraordinary person, probably one of the best advocates I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I think the thing that probably distinguishes her from so many other people is she's fun to work with. You know, there are a lot of good advocates in the world, but most of them are kind of pains. But she's tough but fun to work with. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate her service to the department and ultimately to this city. And we are deeply saddened that you are leaving us, but we certainly understand, given the fact your family commitments and your son. And we just wish you the absolute best going forward. Before we have you come up, are the other commissioners would like to make any comments?
I'd just like to echo President Sales, and it's been a pleasure working with you, Lorraine, and wishing you the very best.
Would you mind coming up? Bring your husband also. I know he's come on, darling. We want you.
Not too high. Okay, very nice, very tough. Go. Here's the first one, it's the smaller one. Tilt that down just a touch. Very good. down a little bit more. Oh, that's good. There you go. A little bit of glare, but okay, no, that's good. All right. Smile. Yeah, here we go again. That's good. Right here. Yeah, one last. Smile. Very good. Thank you.
We've been going long enough. Go back.
I say you have the sun all day.
We're going to ask Ms. Paskett to come to
Set up for that.
the podium and make a few remarks.
I will keep it short because I know that one of the priorities these days is to have efficient board meetings. So you all can go home, including Ron, before 7 o'clock. It has been such a pleasure to work at the department, this experience and the previous experience, and I'm very honored to receive a resolution from the board. I didn't expect it, and I'm surprised by it. But I mostly want to say that while it's an honor to receive it, it was such, the best part of working here is working on the teams, and so while I'm being singled out and recognized, everything that we accomplished in such a short amount of time was because of everybody that I was able to work with on the board, on the executive team, and all of my colleagues. And I feel like we got a lot done in a very short amount of time with everybody, and I just had the pleasure of being able to lead some of those teams. So thank you for this. It was very special. I'm proud that Ron is here leading everybody. I spent a year and 2 months.
But who's counting?
And 3 days and 4 hours and 36 seconds. And now I get to spend some time in daylight. So I just really feel like this department is well positioned with his leadership, with the current executive team, and with this board. I'm very proud to leave at this moment and go spend more time with my 7-year-old. So thank you.
Item 13.
Item 13 is for the...
Thank you both.
I do need a vote for the resolution.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Item 13.
Item 13 is for the lease of passenger vans as part of the department's efforts to meet Rule 2202 for the Southern California Air Quality Management District regulation. It is for approximately 38 of the 81 vans we have in the program, serves approximately 709 department employees at facilities throughout the basin.
The reason why I pulled this was because of something that was contained within the board briefing letter. I don't have any problem with the overall notion of the rental. However, I would point out that the enterprise bid was deemed unresponsive because it was deemed late and was not evaluated. However, if I'm reading this correctly, it was late by 39 seconds. And I have to tell you, I don't even think it was late because it came in, apparently the 2 p.m. deadline was 2 p.m. on the day that it was due, and this apparently came in at 2 p.m. 39 seconds. Now, frankly, in a plain view, coming in at 2 o'clock is coming in at 2 o'clock. If it was 2:01, I would say nitpicky, but yes. But this came in at 2 o'clock, and I don't understand why the bid was not evaluated.
Very fair point. Who wants to answer that question?
I guess I will. Dirk Broersman, Deputy City Attorney. Even 1 second would be past the 2 p.m. deadline.
Does the materials that the bidder received say that? Or does it just merely say 2 o'clock?
I don't know.
Because by a fair reading, 2 o'clock is 2 o'clock up until 2:59, and then it becomes 2:01.
But I think it's couched in terms of a deadline. And so 2 o'clock and 1 second would be past 2 o'clock.
Well, I have to take a difference of opinion. I can't support this resolution when we're eliminating bidders for being 39 seconds late. We don't know that the timestamp has been properly calibrated to account for the 39 seconds. And there's a lot here that I just think this is just way too strict and probably wrong as a reading.
Mr. Collins, before you transition, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, one piece of information, and so my colleague supplies chain services. The particular bidder in case that we're talking about here actually requested a 2-week extension. So this actually was out to bid for 2 months, and partially the extension was because of their specific request. And I understand that it was marked at 2 o'clock in a few seconds. The spec clearly says it's 2 p.m., and they had 2 months to submit a bid.
The logic baffles me. I just think if it comes in at 2 o'clock, it comes in at 2 o'clock, up until 2:59.
All right, let me ask a couple questions. Is this our practice, that if you are a second late, you're deemed late? Is that our practice?
The practice is that it has to be submitted at 2 o'clock sharp.
So if you're second late, you're second late?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, to add to this too, even if they had submitted on time, they would not have been the lowest bidder. So they would not be getting the award.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, okay, wait, that's...
Well, we received their information and we saw it.
But that's really a different issue, so...
Yes.
But we've been consistent in applying our policy.
Yes, sir.
You are a second late...
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we've done this through ERSP and also when we used to do public openings physically here in the building at 2 o'clock, no other bid will be accepted.
So, I mean, I share Mr. Moss's concern about being fair, but I don't know where we would draw the line. If we draw the line at 58, 59, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So as long as we're consistent,
yes,
from my standpoint, I'm actually okay with us drawing the line at 2 o'clock.
Is this Greenwich Mean Time that we set it to the atomic clock?
Well, that's my whole point, is that we're as I understand the system, it gets time stamped through the electronic submission, correct?
Yes.
When was the last time we calibrated that?
I couldn't tell you that.
See, that's the whole point, is that we don't know that it could be off by 37 or 42 or 55 seconds.
Just to let you know, too, ERSP, which is the way in which people submit their bids, does have a clock. So they're able to see what the ERSP time is, which is the time that we're using to determine when 2 o'clock is. So they're seeing this. Part of what they need to account for as well, sir, is that a lot of times bidders feel that they need to submit their bid at the last second possible. The concern is if I submit it too early, somebody might see my bid. What needs to be clarified to them, and we do this on a regular basis, is that nobody in staff can see their bids until after 2 p.m. So even if they submit it at 1 o'clock, nobody in my staff nor myself can see their bid. But the idea is wait as the last second possible to ensure that nobody can see their numbers and potentially provide the information to somebody else, which obviously is illegal and inappropriate.
Well, here's my concern about this, is that the department, time and time again in our briefing materials, says this bidder did not bid for this reason, this bidder did not bid for that reason. And most of the time, the explanation is it's just too tough to bid for you guys. And this is not the right way to go about doing things. It's fine setting limits. I don't have any problem with that. But when you're going down to the very second and you're not advertising that in your bid, that you will go down to the very second and advertise the bid at 2 p.m.00, well, you know, you're just sending the wrong signal to the community of bidders. And that's the problem I'm having.
I guess I'm less than persuaded, particularly in the fact that they got an extension. I mean, anyone, even when I was doing contracts, you know you don't wait till the minute before to submit your bid. So I mean, they took the risk, and I think they have to assume that risk. So I'm not sympathetic. Other views? Okay, is there a motion on the matter?
I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
I oppose.
Opposed.
Motion passes 3-2. Item 15.
I can answer the questions, commissioners, if you have any.
Thank you. I mean, I just have a specific question. I feel that the agenda was a little vague in nature. It states that LADWP is mandated by the California Air Resources Board to install particulate traps on and all on road, et cetera, but it doesn't state why we are agreeing to buy this particular trap. And will this encompass all of our requirements, or should we expect to receive more requests from
No.
your group?
Just the statistics on the trucks that we have, since 2007, we had 957 trucks that were diesel, and they were either, the way we would comply with, you either retrofit them with approved particular traps, or we sell them, so we take them out of commission. So right now, we have about 247 trucks in our fleet, that 90 of those are going to be retrofitted with this particular traps, and then the rest of them will be retired by December of this year. So by the end of this year, we should have them either retrofitted or not part of our fleet.
Okay. So this meets all of our current
Yes.
requirements?
We'll be in compliance by the end of this year.
Okay, so moved.
I have a question. So, Aram or Pete, I noticed that there's a cooperative purchase, and we're doing that through General Services Department. And my question is, I know that the Port of Los Angeles has a very aggressive sort of program to limit diesel emissions. And are we working at all? Are they part of this program, this cooperative purchase, or is this just with GSD?
It's General Services.
So
And they
we're-
also have a very aggressive plan, too, because they have a much larger fleet than we do.
All right. Just out of curiosity, I mean, how many trucks are, we're just buying it for our trucks, but
Just
how
for
many
our-
trucks total are under this cooperative purchase? Do you happen to know?
Under this one, for DWP? we're
No,
gonna-
for
collectively,
citywide.
I couldn't answer that.
All right. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Thank
Want them
you.
to get back to you on that, Commissioner?
No, it's not necessary. I think sometimes we do really good things, and we comply with these environmental mandates, and I think sometimes we should crow about some of the, reductions in air pollution that we're making. So I just wanted to substantiate the extent of the program.
If I can just add one little thing and to
Please.
kind of touch on your question. As these engine models come to be retrofitted, they cannot be retrofitted until there's a trap that's been approved. And so instead of jumping forward and putting these active or passive type traps on these, which means that the user has to park the vehicle, we waited until these traps became available. And so they're more of an active situation where it does it internally. So that's why you might seem that we're kind of at the 11th hour, but that was a decision we made. So we're going to be good.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Okay?
You move the item.
So moved.
Thank you.
I would like to second, if possible.
Second. Any objections? Hearing none, item 15 passes. And Commissioner Newton had a question about item 16.
Yes, my question about item 16 is why did we need a vertical instrument since it appears that there's only one manufacturer that can fabricate a vertical instrument, and there's many that could fabricate a horizontal instrument? I just want to make sure that the design process was in fact kosher and that we didn't design this facility giving a preference to this particular manufacturer.
Glenn Singley, Director of Water Engineering.
Nathan Shagley, mechanical engineer associated under WET's project design. We chose to go for a vertical rather than a horizontal unit because water treatment operators prefer that as well, but the horizontal unit, there's baffles and things where hydrogen gas can collect, and if it pressurizes too much, it can cause an explosion, and so we opted for the vertical for the safety of the water treatment operators and for ease of compliance. We don't have to build hazardous, we don't have to have hazardous compliance for the building materials or anything like that as far as the building or the way it's zoned.
Yeah, I know this is a naive question, but if to prevent those issues from happening, if a vertical instrument is in fact better, why aren't more manufacturers making vertical instruments instead of horizontal ones?
Probably patent right now. I still think there's probably years on the patent left, and so none of them have really jumped in there or had the chance to move into the market yet.
So you think this particular vendor, Process Solutions, just like on the cutting edge and they're ahead of their industry in that regard?
A little bit, yes.
And they're the holder of the patent.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions on item 16? Is there a motion to approve item 16?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no objections, item 16 passes. Item 22, I think that was Commissioner Parker, yes.
Hi, Aaron. I have a very simple question. It's going to cost us $83 million to underground 11 miles of transmission, correct?
Yes.
Just hypothetically, how much would it cost us if we had 11 miles above ground?
It's about, probably on this case, is about 1/10 of the cost.
All right. That's the answer to my question. Thank you.
I have another question, just in terms of 24 months versus the 36 months. If we didn't do rush hour construction, would there be additional costs to go another year? Is the first part of my question. And then, just answer that.
The restrictions is always a problem for us because we mobilize. We have a window of opportunity to do either pulling or do construction work, and then we have to pull out, demobilize, because we have to clear the streets. So anytime we have a larger window to work in, that's always, productivity-wise, that's always good for us. But we're trying to make sure that we segment this project in a way that we can get longer windows to work on small segments rather than open up the streets, on a larger scale, and then gain that efficiency. So if we do that, then we can get some accelerated schedule.
But from a cost perspective, is it going to be $83 million, whether it's 24 months or 36 months?
We're looking to gain efficiencies. If we do get longer windows to, it's going to be less than.
Less expensive.
Yeah, we will gain some efficiencies that way.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments on item 22? Is there a motion?
I move to approve, and I just want the information that I was probing for, which is the added cost of undergrounding this transmission. I think it's very important that the public understand that the entire city of Los Angeles is willing to absorb the costs so that people on the west side can have underground transmission. I think that's an important concept to get out there.
This is very critical for our system to beef this up.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any opposition? Hearing none, item 22 passes. Item 26, I think Commissioner Moss had a question on item 26.
I do. Who should I direct the question to?
Jim? Is that
Oh, hi, Jim. Okay, how are the dollars arrived at for the easements?
I believe we had an appraisal done on this. Marty's going to verify that.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I didn't recall, or maybe I missed it in the briefing book.
Did you hear the question, Marty?
I think it was about the cost, is that right?
Yeah,
No, how did we arrive at the dollar amount?
The state had their appraisals, their appraisers work up the numbers, and then our real estate section reviewed those and concurred that they seemed accurate.
Okay, and then my second question was on the drainage easements along the highway. Now, if I recall correctly, they were originally going to do an eminent domain, then they didn't do an eminent domain. We gave them temporary easements, and they built it and encroached into our property. Is that correct? That's how it all came about.
Right. They could have done everything they needed by eminent domain, and so, part of this, especially with drainage, some of this morphs as the project changes, and so some of it's not known, and exact survey data is not available at the time. So it was a question of how to reconcile it, and they could have done eminent domain and condemned the property. It's simpler. It's the same result, the same amount of money we would get through eminent domain, but it's simpler to do it this way.
So with the drainage easements, is there any concerns from the department about maintenance of those drainage easements over time?
No, the easements would be the responsibility of Caltrans. And typically in the Owens Valley, from a practical standpoint, all the agencies that work in that area, they pull the resources together when they have to. If there's an emergency or a flood, aqueduct breaks, huge storms, we work cooperatively with Caltrans and Inyo County all the time. But it is Caltrans' responsibility.
Okay, and the reason why I mentioned that about the maintenance of the drainage easements is because in the easement itself, there's no provision for maintenance of the easement.
Yeah,
in the language of the deed.
Right, and this is really for the crossing of the drainage. And theoretically, you recognize that in this area, most of the property on both sides is ours. So it's really moving water so it doesn't damage the highway through the watershed to get to the Owens River, essentially.
That's fine.
So,
that's it?
And then we're drained to it be ours to make sure that the creeks and stuff flow correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve item 26?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, item 26 passes. Item 27, Commissioner Moss.
Yeah, simple question on this one. There's reference in the board packet that the city controller has invalidated Board Resolution 197, and this, I guess, is replacement for that. I want to know, why did the city controller invalidate Resolution 197?
Good afternoon. Melinda Rowe, Manager of Regulatory Affairs and Water Quality. Maybe invalidated was a strong term. The city controller no longer recognizes that resolution for the types of payments that we're trying to pay for the state Department of Public Health and the counties of Inyo and Mono health departments. So I apologize for that. That probably was a little bit overstated.
Okay, so are you confident then that what we're doing today is going to rectify that issue?
Yes, this one should address all of the invoicings that we receive for oversight for these public health agencies. As to my knowledge, the prior resolution would still stand for the other issues that it was intended
Taxes
to.
and those
Taxes and assessments and
okay.
stuff.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, item 26 passes. Item 20.
That was 27.
I'm sorry, 27. Item 28.
I have a quick question related to item 28.
Yes, this Commissioner Moss, I believe. But if you
No, I'm 29.
Okay.
So, Mr. Sedlacek, I'm looking at a letter we received dated June 21st from the Department of Water Resources, DWR. And in this letter, it's in response to the neg deck. And they say that this activity that we're engaged in will impact the lower San Fernando Dam, upper San Fernando Dam, the Channel Dike Diversion Dam, and the Los Angeles Reservoir Dam, clearly, the latter. And my question to you is this a letter of objection to the neg deck, or is it simply a clarification associated with the neg deck?
It's a damning letter in any event.
Just one quick point of clarification, that is, I think the action that we were anticipating taking was that we were actually going to defer this item and not take the matter up.
You'd like to defer this?
Correct.
I do have speaker cards on this one.
But we still want to, it's the pleasure of the department.
I did not know it was going to be deferred.
Right, and I apologize that I perhaps didn't make that adequately clear.
Okay, is there a motion to defer the item?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? The matter is deferred. I missed that one. Item 29, that I believe is Commissioner Moss.
Oh, okay. The 5 Point Partners contract, I was a little confused about something. Matt, are you going to present this one? Okay. It's just a point of clarification. There are some references in various parts to say that once we go live with the new software, that 5 Point is going to provide service support. Is that correct? Did I read that correct?
Price Waterhouse provides service support. This contract takes us through go live.
Okay, so the April 30th.
Right.
So that would explain why April 30th it cuts off and 5 Point is done.
And we may come back as we get closer, a little bit closer to it, but we want to make sure this contract stayed in force all the way through go live.
Okay. So the references in the board package to the ongoing support was for Price Waterhouse, not for 5 Point?
Right.
Okay, my mistake. I misunderstood that. Do we need to get some post-go-live support from 5 Point, though?
We're thinking that they're providing a number of different kinds of support, and we want to refine down what it is we would need in the post-go-live period, but we're expecting to do that. We wanted to because this is a contract that does have to go to council, we want to get it through, get it set to toward the end, come back to you with a refinement. and show you how we get the money within the existing budget to extend the contract further.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Commissioner, before, there's actually a clarifying point I think would be of value to the board as a whole. One of the things as we're doing is we're getting closer to go live on this, recognizing that I think we've had many conversations with Mr. Lamp on the whole SysCon process, our CIS, and many other business processes associated with that. And I think one of the reasons that Matt brought up the issue, the fact that we might need some additional services after the April date, is we're probably going to be sequencing some of the other business processes after April of next year to make certain that each of the components work, and trying to make certain having them all work on that same date is frankly perhaps a little bit risky. And we're evaluating that right now in terms of what would be that sequencing. And as we look at that, we get further down closer to April, but I promise you well in advance, so we're not pulling something, at a very last minute effort, that we will be evaluating what our needs are for services of any of our advisors and system integrator firms on this matter, and likely we'll be making some subsequent adjustments to be able to work us through and marshal us through that process of the other business processes after the core CIS process comes up. So there will be more to come on dealing with that, but we really don't have enough information right now to know exactly which things we know that we can pull the trigger on in April, and which ones that we're probably going to want to sequence a little bit later, and how much later.
May I suggest that when you do get answers to those questions, that perhaps at that point you do a comprehensive presentation to the board,
Exactly.
so that we get it all within context as opposed to piecemeal?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else on item 29? Other questions from the board? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none. Item 29 passes. Item 35, Commissioner Noonan.
I think I'll direct this to General Manager Nichols. It's been brought to my attention that proper protocol has not been followed to request vacation time amongst our employees. I've heard allegations that employees actually take that time off, and after taking it off, they submit a request. And I think that this is very disconcerting to our board. I do think that there needs to be an audit or a reconciliation. And I definitely feel that if we do learn of these events, that the employee and their supervisor should be reprimanded. I don't think the employee should be entitled to vacation pay. And I think the supervisor should be put on notice to not perform on file.
Well, I'm unaware of any consistent practice in that regard, but be happy to look into the matter and report back to you on it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to share off the record what I've learned.
Okay. I'd be very interested in hearing that.
And so, I respect this request if it's followed within our rules and regulations. But if there are people who feel like they have the right to decipher from that and create their own rules and regulations, I cannot support it. So as it's written now, I will, but if I do feel that there's additional abuses, or at least alleged abuses, I will not continue condoning it.
Well, I understand. I can understand the concern that you're raising. With regard to this specific item, I believe that there will actually be a net benefit, I think, to the department out of having it done, especially, our expectation is it will be done properly. And the benefit being that right now people have to take entire days off for something where they may only need a couple of hours on something. So as a result, I believe we'll have better efficiency of staff in getting this done through this fashion. But I would be very interested in talking with you offline about what the concerns that you've heard.
By principle, I totally embrace that, but I just want to make sure there aren't abuses in place.
Okay. Appreciate the concern.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve item 35?
There is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, item 35 passes. There will be a motion to let me back up. I need to recuse myself on item 38, right? I think there's a motion relating to item 38 that Commissioner Moss wants to make.
Yes. I'd like to move to.
Actually, 38 and 40, but I.
That's right.
If
38
you don't mind,
and 40.
let's treat them separately because I can't vote on. I can vote on.
Oh, okay. So first off, I'd like to defer item 38, please. So I move to defer item 38.
Do you want? Why don't you?
Just the rationale. I guess I'm taking over.
You are.
Oh, okay, the rationale? Okay. The rationale is that we're in the process of taking a hard look at the entire fiber optics program. This is a 10-year agreement that would lock in terms and conditions over that 10-year period before we've had a chance to really look at things. There's still at least a year left on the existing contract, so there's no need to rush this particular item at this time. I'd like to defer at least for 2 board meetings so that we can discuss this further.
Any other comment? My thought would be on all the fiber optics, given that we now have a committee that's going to be in place. I understand that there's conversations around actually hiring consultants and having a real strategic plan in this regard, which I think makes a ton of sense, as opposed to doing them piecemeal as they pop up and coming to us last minute, et cetera. But I'd like to kind of draw the line in the sand today versus, the 30-day, 60-day, 6-month time where we get to the point where we really have a plan in place. We've got good customers who have leases coming up that want to know where they're going to be 6 months or a year from now. And I just don't think it's fair of us to put them in limbo while we get our proverbial act together, would be my thought around deferring any of the fiber optics that we have to talk about today.
Well, on the next one over, I have another specific issue with that particular contract. But with this one, again, it's a 10-year master contract. There's still a year left on the existing master contract. So if we were to defer it for a couple of board meetings, it's not going to harm USC in any respect or cause any insecurity on their part.
I'm not aware. I mean, I don't know what planning process USC is going through. I haven't had any contact with USC in this regard. I'm just from a procedural perspective. I agree with you that we need to have a plan in place and really maximize revenue in this regard and have a process in place. But I just don't feel it fair, not just USC, but any lease that's coming up in the interim. So we want to be in a position to move these items in a meeting or two, but who knows whether we'll be in that position or not. So I'm not supportive of deferring, at least for the purpose of our just kind of getting our act together, versus something specifically wrong with that process.
Well, the difficulty that we have is the argument that you make makes a lot of sense, and clearly we've had this occur before. In fact, in a previous meeting, we had another contract that came up that really was somewhat defective, but because it was a good customer and because it wasn't fair to the customer just to cut them off, we went ahead as a board and approved it. But the problem is there are more contracts coming up all the time, and if we don't say, especially in this one where there is no rush or necessity of an expiration date that would require us to take action today, we've got to stop somewhere. Otherwise, the same logic you're using would work in the next meeting and the next meeting after that. So, it's putting the department at a disadvantage because we're approving in this particular item all the terms of a 10-year agreement, and we don't know that necessarily is going to align with our long-term vision for fiber optics.
Yeah, and again, my only concern is that whether we'll have a long-term vision a board meeting from now or 2 board meetings from now, or whether that's really going to take 5 board meetings.
Well, realistically, you're right. It will probably not happen in 2 or 3 board meetings. You're right.
Right. So that's my issue, whether it's fair to our customers to kind of put them in limbo in their planning process.
Well, I did speak with staff about this beforehand, and staff did not have any concerns about delaying this particular contract, because that was my question. There is one that I am going to move for approval today that I intended initially not to, but because it's up to their expiration date, that would cause a problem for that particular customer.
So again, I'm going to personally rely on you and the committee going forward to make sure we don't have these issues, come before the board that we're really not in a position to opine on. I just don't feel fair again, that we put our customers in limbo until we have a plan in place. So that's the only reason I'm not supporting.
Okay, I respect that.
So with that, I'm going to accept your comment as a motion to defer. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm voting no on this one.
So it's deadlocked, and
Yes.
therefore,
No, it's, Mr. President, there's a requirement of 3 votes to pass.
So it does not pass?
It does not. So
Okay.
it's not deferred.
Commissioner Parfrey, may I give you my reasoning for
Certainly.
agreeing? There have been other items presented beforehand related to fiber optics, which had a much shorter time frame to renew, and we knew that we were actually risking losing those accounts, and I actually was against deferring those items because I felt that we were putting our clients in a very uncomfortable position, whereas I believe the department wants to create alliances with businesses. But given that our agreement goes on through June 2013, and I think that it's very important for the ratepayers to feel that even though President Sales has recused himself, that we're not showing any bias, I think it's very important on this particular situation to defer it because our department has stated that they can work with Commissioner Moss, who's going to head that committee, and do the proper due diligence. And I think that I, as a commissioner, and I think the ratepayers per se, would appreciate that work being done and not making an exception to other decisions that we've made in the past.
So there's been a vote. So
Yes,
it's
my impression is that we are deadlocked on this item.
well, no, we're not deadlocked. The deferral is denied because there's not 3 votes for it yet. So now we have to vote on whether or not.
You must consider it.
You must consider the
All right.
Now, we run the risk now if we tie again
of it not passing.
of it not passing, which I think is much more damaging to USC than deferring it. So I'd like to call for a reconsideration of the motion to defer with that in mind.
Is that proper procedure?
Yes.
So that's a motion.
That's much. What let me refine it. Let's just let's defer till the next meeting only. So that
I'll support that.
Okay. So that is the motion to defer until the next meeting.
I'll support that. Is there a second?
Second?
Great.
I'm voting no.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So it's deferred to the next meeting.
Thank you. Now we can call President Sales back.
Yes.
So what,
We'll fill you in
what
later.
did we defer 38 or?
We did.
To the next meeting.
Okay.
We did. The next meeting.
Then let's also have a discussion on item 40, because you'd like to defer that
Yes,
one.
I
also,
would,
right?
I would like to defer item 40 as well. I make a motion to do so. And the reasoning for doing that is this is a 5-year short form. Now, remember, we have master forms, which are longer term, and then under each master or lease, there's a short form lease that is the actual provision of the fiber optics. This is a 5-year short term or short form lease, and my objection here is that it provides for no annual escalations, and basically it would remain flat for the 5-year term. Again, since we are going to be revisiting these matters, it seems to me that it would be imprudent for us at this time to enter into a new 5-year agreement with no annual escalation, since it's quite likely we might go to an annual escalation model for future leases. So that's the reason for my motion to defer this item. And again, I did confer with staff on this, and staff did not have an objection to this.
Is there a second?
Second?
Questions or comments?
Same reservation, but.
Commissioner Parfrey, Commissioner, comments? Or?
I very much appreciate Commissioner Moss's laser focus on the fiber optic sort of facilities that the DWP offers, and I'm indeed very torn, because I very much appreciate the sort of new rigor he's bringing to analyze what are the contractual relationships that we have with some of the LA's major institutions. That said, I feel that in these economic times, it is very important to send a very clear signal to some of our partners in the business community that DWP is open for business and willing to enter into these relationships. I would like to see a new day when we actually have a new landscape. We understand what the business relationship can be with these various entities, but shy of that sort of new analysis, I do want to send a signal that we're open for business and we want to work with them.
I really want to associate myself with the comments of Commissioner Parker. I think the one thing business needs is predictability. And it may take us a while to figure this out, but I don't think it's fair to in any way punish our customers because we haven't figured out our policy on this. And the truth is, our policy may not be figured out for a while. It's a very complicated issue. So I'm not inclined to support the deferral of this item either.
Those are essentially the comments I made when you were out of the room. So I'm totally in agreement.
Commissioner Newman, thoughts, or Commissioner Moss?
Well, I think we have a disagreement here, and I also am one for great predictability. In fact, I've echoed those comments time and time again here. But in this instance, we don't need to enter into a new 5-year term. It's not necessary. This is something different, new and different for this particular customer. And what I would have no problem if it was a short term. But it's somehow come to us at a 5-year term, and for that reason, I can't support it. And I was hoping to defer it to see if we go back to the customer and see if we could work something out with the customer that would, ensure the predictability and certainty for the customer, but at the same time protect the ratepayers' longer-term interests. So that's kind of where I'm at.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor of deferral? Say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed.
Motion is defeated, 3-2. Okay, so let's now go back. Okay. I'm going to go back to item 37, which we skipped over.
Deferral is defeated. We haven't voted on the item.
I know, but I'll come back to it. Yeah. So now I can go back in order, because I know which one's deferred. It's only 38 that's being deferred, right? So, okay, item 37.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Item 37 is specification 373. It's for the rental of backhoes of the operators on an as-needed basis. This is a contract that's utilized by both the power system, water system on a regular basis. It's pretty critical to the upgrade and infrastructure needs for the Department of Water and Power.
Questions, comments, thoughts?
I have a question. I would like to know why an interim contract has been proposed and not a long-term solution presented beforehand.
The previous contract expired in May of this year, and there were some challenges to getting this contract through, so we, at the request of supply chain, extended the closing period. What we did is we asked for $150,000 informal just to get things rolling so that we had an opportunity to bring it here to the board for final presentation.
Do you understand that?
No.
I don't. Can you try again?
I still don't understand why there wasn't a formal competitive bid undergone at the appropriate time.
Well, the informal is a result of the formal spec going through. The bids came back clean. They had all the bonding insurance requirements, and at that time, just to get the ball rolling, we did asked for $150,000 informal.
Commissioner, Mr. Collins, you have comments on this?
Yeah, just
you
to
really
add on
don't
to-
want to go away, right?
I can sit down. No, just to add to what Tom is saying. Basically, the informal contract is a stopgap. It was based on the competition that we received under this opportunity here. The original contract was for 3 years or 36 months. So what was requested from supply chain was a 2-month contract for up to $150,000 that was deducted from the 3-year contract that we're presenting today. That interim contract is a separate contract. So if, let's say, for example, you had some kind of issues with this, the interim contract for 2 months is completely separate. But we did use a competitive process and the results that we received from this opportunity.
Now I'm confused. If there was a competitive process and Eddings was the winning bidder, right? Why didn't you just bring it to the, what was the delay in bringing it to the board at that point?
It's mainly a processing time. When a bid opens, it takes a few months to get that opportunity in front of this board for consideration. Under a GM awarded contract, which is up to 150, it can be processed a lot faster. So because of that timing and the crucial need for these services, Fleet Services requested the interim contract.
So there was some delay in the process where you couldn't get it to the board in time, even though you went through the whole competitive process before the general manager issued his contract.
Correct. When bids open, there is an evaluation of their compliance with the commercial terms and conditions, the technical part of it. We review their good faith effort. There's a board letter that's put together and is reviewed by several layers of management prior to coming to this board meeting, and it takes a little while to get it here, sir.
I think the thing, and maybe this is why you were concerned about this, is it gives the appearance that something funny's going on.
Yeah, let me expand on this, because we went through a fair amount of discussion about this before this was brought before the board. The issue is that, you know, were we probably on top of getting this bid out as early as we should have? Perhaps not. Did it take longer than expected? Yes, it did. And there were some things that were changed in the specs as we went through the process that took us longer to process through than we normally would have, and frankly ran up against a time problem where this is critical equipment. This is equipment that it absolutely makes sense to rent instead of buy. We don't own the equipment. We have a lot of projects going on right now. We needed to get something going and keep something going. We had pricing done based on the based on the bids that were received, but there's just a lot of other things that we have to go through. I think as you appreciate the complexities in the evaluation process. So while we went through and wrapped that up to get this done, we approved at a $150,000 approval to be a bridge to get there, using the bidding information predicated on what we did in an open competitive bid as a basis to believe we are selecting the apparent low bidder at that point in time, confirmed then by the completion of the total evaluation process, which indeed did reaffirm that they were the low bidder, and now are looking to complete the rest of this contract. It's a bit clumsy, I will admit that. I would like for us to have been more on top of it than we were. There were some extenuating circumstances, but you know, more than anything, we need to be a bit more on top of this, and we will be. And it's an issue that, I know we've discussed that issue before, and it's one of the things we're trying to improve our process on. So I apologize for the unusual nature of this, and perhaps our description of it wasn't as crisp as it could have been, but that's the circumstances we find ourselves in today.
Other comments or thoughts on item 37? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Hearing no objections, item 37 is approved. 38 is deferred. Item 39. Item 39. I see people leaving, but no one stepping forward. Is that you, Matt? Oh, okay. You can't hide back there. Yes. I believe Commissioner Moss.
No, I don't have any questions.
While we're thinking about this, I do really want to commend Commissioner Moss for his engagement on these issues. It will benefit the department mightily in the future. I think the committee structure will help with that also.
Just one comment. You know, we have two efforts in process, and the first one, which was the pricing survey, which Commissioner Moss asked that we accelerate, is on that RFP is on the street now. We're awaiting bids. The second one is in process and should be out fairly shortly, which is more this overall strategy piece. So working with Commissioner Moss has been excellent in terms of getting some good board attention and good focus on sort of what's the next step that we do here.
So Matt, along those lines, how do we expedite that second letting of a contract so that we get some good advice on how to proceed on this?
I mean, I think both the general manager and our new head of supply chain are aware it's of great interest to the board, so I think it will get the attention it needs.
And the subcommittee's going to help with that.
Yep.
I think we probably can take 39 and 41 together. Is there, you have any specific questions on 41, Commissioner Moss? Or?
No, we can do that together.
All right, is there a motion to approve items 39 and 41?
Yes, so moved.
Second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, items 39 and 41 are approved. Item 40, I'm sorry, which is the one we decided not to defer. Is there comments, Commissioner Moss?
Nope.
I've
said my piece.
I think Commissioner Moss's concerns are the lack of annual escalations, right?
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve?
There is.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections?
Aye. I have.
No, 3-1. Item 40 passes. Item 42, there's apparently a typo.
Yes, I just need to announce that on the agenda, under 42, the agreement under number 2, it's listed as 48089-2. It should be 47089-2.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have questions on item 42?
I do,
yes.
actually. If I could get just a brief explanation of why we need 4 different project managers in this, especially given that in looking at the contract, you have many of the same cast of characters as the consultants for each of the 4 different contracts. So I'm not quite sure where the logic is here.
What we have found is that these different firms have different strengths and different project personnel at different times. And sometimes we have a need for a specific area of expertise for scheduling, or somebody with P6 experience or something else, a unique need. They may have resources available at that time. We found it very valuable to have several firms to keep some competition as we develop these tasks and push them out, rather than just having one firm and handing them whatever, and them pulling in resources from wherever. We can get the very best resources at the time that we need them by having these 4 firms to go to, and they all submit a proposal for those tasks.
So the idea is that when you are generating task orders, you're going to send them out to all 4?
Yes.
Are you obligated to send them to all 4?
That's the way the contract is set up right now.
Okay.
To do that, specifically for that reason, to generate that competition.
By having 4 participants, doesn't that generate more back-end management concerns for the department in terms of managing 4 different responses to task orders?
Well, once we have the response to the task order, and they're fairly short, they're specific, and once we get that back, then that may be a task that will last a year or 6 months or 2 years. And then we just focus on that firm to do that task. So it's, we may have all 4 firms at different times doing different things. It's worked out very well, and it has been efficient, and I think it's kept us, as efficient as we possibly can.
And if I may, Commissioner, I think the alternative would be to issue each one of these little tasks as a separate RFP, and then you do engage in quite a bit of the process and everything, and this helps us streamline quite a bit and be much more responsive.
And I'd like to note that the contract we're being asked to approve, or the resolution we're being asked to approve, is for $12 million, correct?
Yes.
But actually, it's more like for 13 because of the 10% overtime payment. Is that not correct?
Well, it would be, the 10% overtime would be just work that we would otherwise have to do in-house.
So tell me then exactly why we need to have the project managers at all, as opposed to just rely upon current departmental resources. Where are we lacking in
Just with the,
expertise?
and it's, I think we've got the expertise in a lot of areas. There are certain areas that we don't have specific expertise. Some in the scheduling, and in that area we're not as strong. We don't have as many resources available as we need. There are some value engineering that's included, that we need some outside expertise depending on the type of project that we have. So there's areas like that where we don't have expertise, we bring it in. In other instances, it's just a workload situation where we have several major projects going on with headworks and all these trunk line projects that as we get more and more in place, we may be scarce on resources and just have to supplement. Now, we've made a commitment that we'll certainly look at our internal resources, and if wherever we can, we have the people available, we'll choose them first. We'll even go to City Hall first. But when we're all tied up with every available resource, then we can go to these contracts.
So there's a certain amount of discretion that you will be exercising in issuing the task orders. You don't plan on necessarily issuing all $12 million worth of task orders from the get-go.
No, often we haven't in the past.
But you'd like the opportunity to in case you need to.
All right. Is there a motion on item 42?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, item 42 passes. Item 43, are there questions from the board on item 43 or item 44?
Not for me.
Are there motions to approve items 33 and 34? I'm sorry, 43 and 44?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, those items are approved. Item 45.
This is a project that we have briefed the board. This is the property across from our Barron Ridge substation, which is the hub for our renewable and also the beginning of the transmission line, the Barron Ridge transmission line that we're proposing on building by 2015. And this property was developed by NextEra, and it's going through the permitting process, and the offer for $31,500,000 is for to buy the property and all the licenses and the permits for us to proceed with a project on that site.
So, Aram, I mean, one of the analyses that we've had in the past related to renewable energy is aligning the facility next to existing transmission. And it seems that this property really does align with those strategic objectives. So I'm very much in favor of this item.
And I would like to also second that, but also go a step further. You talked about the Union of Concerned Scientists today, and they're concerned that some of our RPS agreements don't go out past 5 years. Well, this is one that we will own, and if I understand correctly, when we close escrow, we should be in a position to be able to pull building permits to start construction of the PV facilities on this site. Is that correct?
This is ready to go as soon as we close on this deal, and we will make plans for us to develop, either phase it in or we have to meet certain percentage RPS as we go towards 2020, and this is a fit for us to acquire and control.
And how much will we get out of this proposed
This is
plan?
probably going to be about 2.3% of our 33% is going to come from this site. So we can put up to 250 megawatts of PV there, and it's right across from our station.
So I think this is great.
Other thoughts? Is there a motion on item 45?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, item 45 passes. Are there questions or comment on any of the filed items?
Were you going to go back to item number 11?
Oh, sorry.
We have some
Item
information.
11. We got some information
Yes.
on item 11, yes.
So we have some clarification on the table that you were referring to, Commissioner, and also the question you had about the sequence. Let me answer the second question you had about the efficiency part. So these parts are basically in lieu, like when we do repairs and when we do replacement. So for us to put in, I mean, we would like to put LED, which the city has a program to replace a string of, street lights with LED, more efficient LED. But in this case, we need to replace them in kind until that program catches up with the total replacement. So we've looked at those, and it doesn't fit the sequencing of this.
There are such things, I've heard about the ISI Energy Controls, and they have a product called the Energy Avenger. And I'd love the department to review that, because from what I understand, they do improve the efficiency of high-pressure sodium vapor lighting. So
we will, if you'd like, we will get, we coordinate closely with the street light program and how they roll the LEDs and other efficiency programs. If you'd like, we'll get back to you on it.
I know that LAWA uses these products, and so does Caltrans, and the ports are about to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
So, it'd be helpful.
To answer your first question was the numbers that you were referring to. I'll have Salmo.
Yes, I think Commissioner Parfait, you had the question about the numbers. In the summary table, what you were referring to was, in this particular case, the vendors actually put in a different quantity that was being quoted. When we provide a bid, we specify the number of units that we want, but we also allow the vendors to override that. And the reason why is because they could have a different unit of measure.
I see.
But in this case, they kept the same unit of measure, but just put in a much larger number. So consequently, their bid was being evaluated on the quantities that they quoted. So when you look at this, we were asking for 1,500 units. The number that they put in per their bid was over 11,000. And actually, that was in their bid. I actually am holding their bids, and that was a mistake that was made by the vendor.
All right. That's it. Thank you very much.
Is
That's
there a
helpful.
motion on item 11?
There is.
Second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, item 11 passes. On the filed items, on the monthly reports, are there questions on any of the monthly reports?
Mr. President, if I could make one observation on the FSO report for May. I want to follow up with a question that Commissioner Moss asked last month regarding the ECAF balance that appeared to increase very significantly. I mentioned that the explanation for that was a timing-related issue. As it turns out, there's another issue that we just noted today. Because of the transition of capitalizing energy efficiency expenditures, we changed our accounting treatment for that. That was incorrectly reflected in this account. So this large spike that we see in this graph is incorrect. It will be corrected in May. The balance is much closer to the forecasted line. So I just wanted to note that correction.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Other questions on any of the monthly reports?
Mr. President, before we get any additional questions, I want to offer you, we have Beth Gines here sitting. Beth is our fairly recent director of strategic initiatives, and she's prepared, if you desire, prepared to go through the status report on the DWP strategic plan. If it speaks for itself, we can forego that. So it's whatever your pleasure.
What's the pleasure of the group?
I go with the group.
I would like to.
I move to defer.
There's a pattern with you, boss.
I would like to hear the presentation.
It's fine. It's up to me, but
All right.
Can't hurt.
Okay, why don't we do that?
And just as a brief,
Welcome.
as a brief introduction to this, I think as background, we undertook a strategic planning effort by the department prior to my joining. This is well over 2 years ago. I know some of you were involved in reviewing some of the interim products on that report. When I came on board, I looked at the products and the work that had been done and found that there was a pretty important piece that was missing. A strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, which is pretty fundamental to a strategic planning effort. So I put a hold on that process. We've had a number of commentators who have been concerned about our having a lack of a strategic plan. I will take responsibility for slowing that down because of that gap. We have subsequently undertaken that analysis, and much of this that we're going to talk about here that Beth will be speaking about is where we are on that, and she'll put in context where we go from now on. And so with that, let me turn it over to Beth.
Thank you. I also want to say, just by introduction, that this is the beginning of my 4th week here. So I will be looking to other members of the staff if you have specific questions to assist in answering those. So the development of the strategic plan actually began several years ago. We are building on those previous efforts and have added an updated evaluation of the external and internal environment and influence on our opportunities and constraints analysis. During this presentation, I'll talk about the purpose, development process, the SWOT analysis, which is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, focus areas, objectives, and how the plan relates to our rates. The purpose of the plan is to specify our mission and vision, as well as the initiatives through which we will achieve that vision. As part of this process, we took a critical look at our current position and the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to our work. And I will talk about that in a little more detail in a moment. This assessment provides the framework for developing our strategic initiatives, which will build on the department's strengths and opportunities while also addressing the weaknesses and threats. When completed, the plan will serve as a guide for the future of the department. It will identify strategic focus areas, objectives, a course of action for achieving those objectives. It'll provide the foundation, course of action, and alternatives for future budget and rate and operations planning, and it will engage customers, the board, and the city on policy and investment issues. The plan development has 3 phases. The first phase has been completed and included an analysis of the department's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. During phase 1, we also began development of the mission, there you go, phase 1 is on the left there. During phase 1, we also began development of the mission, vision, and values, as well as strategic objectives, initiatives, and goals. And in the second phase, which is where we are now, we will finalize the mission, vision, values, and goals and develop the actual strategic plan. And the board will be involved in this part of the development. The plan will span 5 years. It'll be provided in a presentation format, and it will be used to solicit feedback from the board, from stakeholders, from the city council, employees, and others. Once we have received and incorporated comments and ideas into a draft final plan, we will bring it back to you for approval.
I suspect you thought about this, but I think there needs to be board engagement before you bring it to us for approval.
Correct.
We need to make sure we build that into our meeting schedule. So there's probably more than one opportunity for the board to express its views on the plan.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are we allowed to express our views right now, Mr. President? Or does that come up the works?
Yeah, why don't we let her at least go through this and then get everyone's thoughts, if that's okay.
Okay, one of the critical elements of the plan is the analysis of our SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This analysis has served as the basis for the development of the focus areas and the objectives of the plan. We will also looked at the priority and urgency of the issues that are facing the department and our readiness to deal with them. Competitive rates, strong financial performance, good bond ratings, leadership in regulatory compliance, and environmental policy implementation were all identified as strengths, along with good working relationships with labor, planning processes which enable us to identify resource and infrastructure requirements in a timely manner. Weaknesses included ineffective customer service, lack of customer confidence and trust, a quickly aging infrastructure, and multiple expensive external mandates. The plan development has, going backwards. Multiple opportunities were also identified. These include the opportunity to transform our utility with more sustainable and efficient water and power supplies, fixing our customer services and creating the workforce we need for the future of the utility, the opportunity to incorporate feedback from the ratepayer advocate to improve the work that we do, supporting the community of Los Angeles and keeping our rates competitive, maximizing the use of smart technologies and automation, and also the use of social media and other techniques to increase two-way communication with our ratepayers and our stakeholders. The threats we face are the uncertainty of future regulatory mandates. These could increase our costs and require multi-year rate increases. Also, the loss of institutional knowledge and the lack of succession planning, and the risk of delay in implementation of the customer information system and other critical business support systems that we need to provide better customer support. The next step in the planning process, based upon the SWOT analysis, is the development of focus area, or was the development of focus areas for the plan. We identified 7 focus areas, which will serve as the framework for the strategic initiatives themselves. The focus areas are high reliability, enhanced customer service, sustained environmental stewardship, competitive rates, commitment to the community, improved communication, and effective workforce planning. We then developed objectives for each of the strategic focus areas. For high reliability, we identified the strategic objective of excelling in water and power reliability, increasing local water supplies, developing cleaner power supplies without reducing reliability, and reducing the age of water and power infrastructure. We are currently developing the next step in the process, which are strategic initiatives for the implementation of these objectives. I'll give you a moment to take a look at the objectives. Can you see them? No? Okay.
We also have a handout.
Oh, good. Yeah. Then I won't go through them for you. The strategic plan will also provide a guide for business decisions and direction and for future rate and budget requests. This chart shows the relationship between the strategic focus areas, the strategic objectives, and the programs which affect our rates. For example, in the strategic focus area of environmental stewardship, the strategic objectives include providing clean water and renewable low-carbon power. Implementation of this objective will include power supply replacement, which includes expensive programs such as rebuilding power plants. Providing a clean local water supply will require groundwater cleanup, which provides greater reliability but is also expensive and will likely affect our rates. My final slide is the outline of the strategic plan, which includes the areas I have discussed, along with a letter from the general manager, which will be part of the report, and a profile of the department. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Harper, you have some comments or questions?
Well, first of all, this really reflects a sea change, in my view, in an improved process. And I just really want to thank you for that and for the general manager. This is really exciting to see. And you know, when I was looking at the weaknesses, one of the big weaknesses that this department faces, and I think it's something candidly that's been forced upon it, is that it's sort of the victim of bad PR. And it's my view that we have a limited ability to get our story out and to not only respond to news, but to create news and to report on the good things that we're doing. So I would definitely put that down as a weakness. And then I think a threat would be there are some external factors, such as climate change, that will have a profound impact on the way that we collect our water and distribute it, will have a profound impact on the amount of generation that's needed in the city and where that generation is needed. And so I think that's one of the threats that we need to identify. And I don't know where this goes, but there is a shifting political landscape. And within the next year, there will be a new mayor in the city of LA, a new city attorney, a new, well, maybe not a new city attorney, let me go on record, that may not happen. A new controller for sure. And many new council members. And so because of that, that's something we also have to somehow take into account culturally within DWP. And I was very pleased to see among the strategic focus areas improved communications. And I think that addresses some of the PR sort of concerns that we have, and that's one that I have a very special interest in, and talked with another commissioner about this, and if there's a legacy from this board that we would like to see is some resources put back into the department to be able to get our story out. And that's all I have for now.
Mr. Halden?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Newton? Mr. Moss?
Well, I think one strength that doesn't appear is actually the quality of the employees at DWP. And I think that you have a reference to the workplace, but I think the actual quality of the employees is truly a strength that I've observed being on this board, and I think that needs to be considered and factored into the long-term strategic plan to maintain that quality of leadership and employee base, separate and apart from any sort of labor management issues. I'm just talking about the quality of the people that work at this department. So I'd like to see a little bit more attention paid to that issue. And then in terms of threats, similar to climate change, I would put down other natural disasters, namely earthquake. I think that, in fact, I recall requesting that there be a board presentation on our disaster response. I don't think it has been forthcoming yet, but I think we really, really need to put some attention into that because it has great implications for the long-term running of the department.
With the risk of sounding like my predecessor, Lee Alpert, where does the role of security fit into this? I mean, it's both an opportunity and a potential threat, and I think it's at least something we ought not ignore as we go through this process. Other thoughts or comments? Well, we look forward to working with you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I know you'll be back shortly.
Mr. President, I have some comments related to some of the board reports.
Oh, that's what I was, okay, sure.
So if I may direct this one to Mr. McDaniel. Could you simply summarize for us how we're doing on our water quality regulations? Are we on target? Are we going to meet our deadlines?
Yeah, I would say overall we're on target to meet all of the regulatory deadlines that we have in front of us right now. We've got some projects that are a little behind schedule, but it's more in the interim milestone phase. I think all of the dates that we have set to have covered reservoirs out of service, we're on track for. One of the things I would note to the board that currently we're on, as far as disinfection byproducts are concerned, as of April of this year, we're on our additional 2 years for compliance with the disinfection byproducts rules. It's looking like, due to the increasing amount of state project water, our goal had been to try to meet the 2014 standard now, even though we don't have to. It looks like, due to the increasing amount of state project water, we probably will not be able to do that. So we have negotiated with the Department of Public Health actual measurement criteria and how we will report in the meantime. One of the things that the Department of Public Health did ask us to do was take all steps possible to reduce disinfection byproducts in this interim period. So we are looking at making some operational changes in order to address those concerns. We may be changing over some areas of the service territory where we can isolate the system and converting them to chloramines using Metropolitan Water District treated water to help lower disinfection byproducts as an interim measure. But overall, we're on track to meet our deadlines. But we do have a number of contracts that'll be that are coming before the board. We had one today for valves, and I thank you for approving that. That was a critical one for us. We've got our UV reactors coming, and we've had a hiccup on our shade ball contract, and we've had to declare the bidder that the board awarded. They were not able to comply with the specs, and they were in breach of the contract, and we're having to go to the next bidder, and we'll be bringing that to the board. But we're getting close on the timing on that. So it's like one of these deals where all of the things being equal, we might, even though this is the third time this has been out to bid, we might want to try to go out to bid again. I just don't think we have time. So we're going to be bringing a negotiated contract based on the competitive proposals that we got. But those are some of the difficulties that we're facing, but not insurmountable at this point.
That's not off-the-shelf material, those shade balls.
No, they definitely are not.
And so, Jim, how's Headworks going?
Headworks is on track. I guess Glenn's not here right now, but we'll be, I think we're scheduled to start breaking ground in August or September, which is per the schedule that we had. Our construction manager at risk is moving forward. They're bidding out the work packages per the schedule that we had. We have a tunneling section that's I believe out to bid right now, so we're receiving the bids and moving forward on that, and we'll probably be mobilized here soon.
Thank you very much. In looking at the, if I may transition to the water system monthly report, I noticed that we're, for the month of May, we were 22.3% below the base year. And do you anticipate that holding true throughout the summer?
Right now it looks good. I had a little worry earlier in the year. We'd been tracking around in this 20% below the base year, and conservation had been holding up really good. We'd had a couple of months, I think it was March and April, where we dropped down to like 15, and then we dropped down to 9, and we ramped up our messaging a little bit. I'm not sure that it was totally due to our messaging, or we just may have had some fluctuations in usage, but demand or conservation levels rebounded pretty much to that 20% from the base year level. Of note, though, because of the new budget year and the funding situation, we will be restoring our water conservation rebate programs, and we recently increased the rebate on our turf replacement program. So we now have, I think, probably one of the more competitive programs in Southern California on that, and we're going to be publicizing that going forward.
I'd look forward to seeing that publicity on that. If I may transition to Aram, if possible, the power system report. I noticed that the Pine Tree Solar project is under construction. Can I inquire the status of that?
Yes, we're fully mobilized on Pine Tree Solar. We put Adelanto Solar in service about a month ago, and it's producing over 9.4 megawatts today. And
is that as predicted?
It's predicted, and it should increase, as we have alignment, better alignment. So it's performing the way we've designed it, and we're hoping for Pine Tree to go as smooth as Adelanto did.
Do we have any security concerns at Adelanto currently?
We do have current facilities next door, so we have the converter station, and it is adjacent. We do have physical barriers between the solar farm and the facility. So far, we've been some minor incidents, but nothing major.
And a last question from me on this would go to the Joint System Support Division. With our new web redesign, Gary, I've noticed that the old websites that we used to have bookmarked, they're no longer applicable. So I'm just curious if you've gotten any feedback from the public where we now have new web pages for old information.
I'm not aware of any, but go back and have a discussion with IT and CIS folks.
It's maybe there's a fix, technological fix where people do a search on Google to get to a certain website, and then they get a link, and that link is no longer operative because we've shifted how we display that information. So
should it redirect automatically, though?
Ideally, it should redirect automatically. Unfortunately, it does not. It just says it's a dead link.
Okay.
So.
We'll follow up.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it from me.
Any other questions on either the monthly activity reports or information reports? Okay, those are deemed filed. Questions on the management items, either the RPS report, well, we've already gone through the strategic plan. Any questions on the RPS project update?
We have the two large projects that we reported on. They're coming to a close, and we should be bringing it to the board. That would be a major step forward for us to meet the percentages, but I don't have any details to report on those.
Questions, thoughts on RPS in general, or?
Well, just how are things going in Utah in terms of our getting off the IPP plant and our restructuring of that? How's that?
The negotiations are still going on. We are talking to the entities and finding, possible solutions for us to be developing. There are a lot of resources in the valley between the power plant and our transmission line. We bring 300 megawatts of wind right now, and there are several solar proposals that are coming through our RFP process. So, and we will continue doing this until we have a format that everybody agrees on how we're going to move forward.
Other questions? Barbara, is there anything else before we go into closed session?
No, I think that took care of all the items.
I missed anything, fellow commissioners? Do we have anything hanging out? No? Okay. Okay, so we'll adjourn the regular meeting. We now need the admonition.
The board shall publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member present thereon in accordance with Section 54.957.1 of the California Government Code.
Why don't we do closed session here? Let's take about a 10-minute break, and then we'll reconvene.